my Minnow Geniuses. Time to work on your brain again. I'm your Minnow teacher, and today we are continuing our unit on Alzheimer's disease. Actually, we're in the part of the unit that is anti-Alzheimer's. This is video number 255 of the whole menopause education, and it's the 20th video on Alzheimer's. We started addressing the lifestyle options for preventing Alzheimer's just 2 weeks ago. And this is one of 9 videos on your lifestyle options alone. Last week, I schooled you on how to prevent Alzheimer's by using your brain. And we're going to continue with that today with a more specific focus. Please get my book if you don't already have it, but do not expect the same degree of detail and understanding on beefing up your brain to prevent Alzheimer's that you'll get in these videos. And that's because, as you learned last week, your brain's default mode is lazy. And the very reason I'm giving you this video today is that because your brain's default mode is lazy, you'll read what's in my book and still fail to understand what you really have to do to prevent Alzheimer's. And I'll explain why that's the case in this video. The title of this video is Embarking on New, Different, and Difficult to Save Your Brain. Now, that sounds really straightforward, but I have learned over and over again that it is not. Somehow, when people hear that they need to do new, different, and difficult things to save their brain, their default lazy brain mode kicks in and prevents any comprehension of what that actually means. And failing to understand what it means is the most common reason people develop Alzheimer's. So pay very close attention to this video. What I'll do is explain precisely what the terms new, different, and difficult mean with regard to the kinds of things you have to do to prevent Alzheimer's. And I'll correlate them with that chart of brain buildup and breakdown that I keep showing you so that you can see which each step affects. So let's go through our 3 terms one by one. We'll start with the word new. Now, of course you know what the word new means, but somehow, when I tell women that they have to do new things to prevent Alzheimer's, that lazy brain kicks in and they respond with comments like, I'll start painting again. Hello, the word again means it isn't new. Or they'll say, I'll go back to doing crossword puzzles like I used to. Hello, the phrases go back and used to mean that it isn't new. When I point out the fact that doing something they've done in the past isn't new, they always seem a bit surprised. And that's the effect of the lazy brain default mode. That lazy brain is so powerful that you don't even recognize it when it overtakes you. Now, why is there a difference between doing something new with your brain versus doing something old with your brain? Well, it goes back to what I taught you about the process of learning and memory recall. Learning something new involves growing new neurons and making connections between neurons. Then it makes transmission of information between the neurons faster by insulating them. Okay? So learning new things is all about your neurons. New is for neurons. These are the steps 1, 2, and 3 on our brain building chart. Every time you apply yourself to learning something completely new, you will accomplish these 3 steps. But contrast that with what happens when you go back to doing something you've done before. When you do that, you don't grow any new neurons, and you don't make any new connections between neurons, nor do you increase the speed of transmission. All you do is use the connections that are already there between existing neurons. So let me give you some examples. Let's say you used to play the piano as a kid, but you haven't played it at all in your adult life. If you start playing the piano again, you will reignite those old connections. You'll even discover that you can still play some of the pieces you played 50 years ago. Your muscle memory will still remember how to play them, but you won't be forming new neurons or making new connections between existing neurons or speeding transmission between neurons. Or let's say your native language is English and you live in the United States on the Mexican border. You've heard Spanish all your life, have had Spanish-speaking housekeepers, took Spanish in school, and live in a city where the population consists 70% of Mexicans who speak Spanish daily and only. You hear it all day long, every day. While you may not be fluent in Spanish, if you decide to study it, it really isn't going to be new to you. Not only have you studied it before, although long ago, you are surrounded by it most of the time, so it doesn't constitute new. So you have to force your lazy brain to get out of its default mode and embark on something that is completely new. If you played the piano as a kid, maybe you should take violin lessons. And instead of studying Spanish, maybe you should study Mandarin. Do you see the difference? The difference in saving your brain will be huge because new is for neurons. Okay, let's move on to the word different. Once again, you know the meaning of the word. And once again, that lazy brain default mode will sabotage you at every turn. This is all about getting outside your comfort zone. The older we get, the more we stick with the familiar. So when I tell women that they need to do something different, they'll respond with comments like, well, I love languages, and I already speak English and Spanish, so maybe I'll learn Portuguese. Learning languages is commendable and wonderful, but if it's something you've done before, it gets easier and easier for you. And it's all the same kind of learning. While the language itself may be different, the process of learning a new language is familiar. And languages can have a lot of overlap such that there aren't that many differences between them. Spanish and Portuguese are very similar. Most people who speak one can understand the other without ever even studying it. So this goes to steps 4 and 5 on our chart: cross connections and bilateralization. When you embark on something entirely different from anything you've ever done before, you start making connections on both sides of your brain. So instead of just these neurons connecting, you start connecting with that neuron also. So different is for double, as in both sides of your brain. I've taught you that you process new information on the right side of your brain, and you store old information on the left side of your brain. Well, if that's the case, when you stick with the familiar, you don't use both sides of your brain. You only use the left side where you've already stored the information. To save your brain, you have to use the right side too. So if you've studied languages, why not embark on something entirely different, like learning to play an instrument? In other words, go outside your comfort zone and embark on something you've never done before at all. In terms of saving your brain, the difference is massive. So different is for double. And now for the word difficult. This is the one everyone hates the most. As I told you in last week's video, adults hate to look stupid. We have this need to feel secure, and much of our security comes from accomplishing things easily. We don't like to struggle, and we don't like to feel inept. So we actively avoid all things that are difficult for us. People who are good at art stick with the arts. People who are good at technology, stick with technology. People who are good at math, stick with mathematics, etc. We love feeling competent, and that makes us love the things that come easily to us. On the contrary, we hate the things that are difficult for us. We all have what I like to call blind spots. These are the things that are just not your thing. They're the subjects that were the most difficult for you in school. They're the parts of life that give you the most trouble. They're the things you hate because they make your head feel like it's going to explode. The mere mention of them makes you tune out or turn away. Well, because this is the stuff that you hate, you naturally dismiss any possibility of embarking on it. That lazy brain mode makes it unimaginable. But this is the stuff that has the greatest and most important impact on saving your brain. This is the stuff that accomplishes those last 3 steps of brain buildup that are real brain savers. They include deepening your brain ruts, increasing your brain density, and rewarding you with cognitive reserve. So difficult is for density and defenses. When I have consultations with women, I ask them to tell me the subjects, activities, or endeavors that they have hated the most in life. If a woman answers math, I say, well, then you should embark on learning math. And she'll groan and say, well, I guess I could get one of those math apps on my cell phone. You see, that's your lazy brain reverting to easy again. So I say, no, you should enroll in a class for a grade and do all the things you had to do in school. The homework, the exams, the whole 9 yards. The same thing happens if a woman says she hates learning languages. Her first inclination is to put Babbel on her phone. And I say, no, go to the language school where you have to sit in class, probably with students who are young enough to be your children, struggle through the homework, speak aloud to the class in a manner that makes you feel like a complete idiot, and experience the humiliation of feeling completely inept. Put yourself in a situation that makes you feel like your brain is going to explode. That's what will save your brain. I guess you could say that you have to do mind-blowing activities if you don't want Alzheimer's to literally blow your mind. Now, your blind spot does not have to be academic. It can be anything that's difficult for you. For me, it would be dancing. I am the world's worst dancer. I can't for the life of me make my body, upper and lower, function properly. Even though I'm gifted when it comes to fine motor skills with my hands as for surgery, and even though I'm coordinated athletically, and even though I sing and play the piano, if I have to do anything that involves moving both my upper and lower body in rhythm, on time, and in a coordinated way, it's a huge disaster. Anytime I go to a Zumba, step aerobic, or any kind of dance class, the entire class moves close to the walls to give me extra space. From the first minute of class, they can tell that dancing definitely is not my thing. I'm a mess. My long limbs are flailing in every direction. My body is moving in the wrong direction, and I'm completely out of step. I never figure out what they're doing until they aren't doing it anymore. I'm sure that the whole class feels sorry for me. They're probably actually embarrassed for me because I look like a complete idiot. Nothing has ever been as hard for me as dancing. But my brain, it gets the best workout ever. The entire time I'm trying to dance, my brain feels like it's going to explode as I try to figure it all out. It's mind-blowing for me, and I hate it. But by the end of that class, I am so mentally exhausted, I can hardly see straight. And that's what it takes to save your brain. Needless to say, it's humiliating, but that's part of the message. Get over yourself. Who cares if you have to suffer a little humiliation in order to save your brain? Go do something that makes you feel like a complete derelict. By definition, it will be outside your comfort zone. And doing mind-blowing activities will prevent Alzheimer's from blowing your mind. So what's your blind spot? What do you hate so much it makes your brain hurt? That's what you need to do to save your brain. So difficult is for density and defenses. Do you see the distinction between sticking to what's old, familiar, and easy versus embarking on what's new, different, and difficult? Nobody likes to hear that this is what they have to do in order to save their brain. We want it to be easy. We want to be able to just do more of the things we love and still keep our brains intact. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, ladies, but it just doesn't work that way. So find something new, get outside your comfort zone, embark on something that blows your mind and makes your brain feel like it's going to explode, and you'll save your brain. Just remember, new is for neurons, different is for double, and difficult is for density and defenses. And now that you hate me for delivering this unwelcome news, I'll say goodbye and let you decide what you're going to do to prevent Alzheimer's by using your brain to do new, different, and difficult things. Come back in a week to learn more about your brain ruts and how they can prevent Alzheimer's. Don't hesitate to schedule a consultation at menopausetailor.me or to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And don't hesitate to subscribe right now. Bye.